Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I just want to discuss a little bit of what we saw in the latest Venom trailer. If you haven't seen it already, you can look in the description down below. I'll include a link to it. But obviously a lot of things to talk about. First of all, okay, so it turns out I was right about the whole like Venom eating people things. In a previous video, I had talked about like, I only know about that because of the Ultimate Spider-Man game about like Venom needing to eat people. It was kind of like how like I said at the time, it's like your HP is constantly draining and you eat people to sustain your health. Like that's how you recover yourself. I don't know if that's how symbiotes operate even in the comic books. Like to me, Ultimate Spider-Man video game was like my first experience with that. And it seems like it isn't just being Venom. It seems even the symbiote itself, because you see one dude like from the way it looks angled, it looks like half his body is, well, most of his body is gone. All that's left is the torso as the symbiote claws up. So it seems like just naturally their thing is just to eat and devour people. I guess once they find a suitable host, they'll stick with that person probably till they find them like unnecessary, I guess. It seems like his whole thing is about eating people. They make many points in the trailers to be like, look at you, you're delicious, your pancreas, and then the dude at the end is like, oh, I'll eat your arms and your legs, and you rip off your face and eat it. And it's like, okay, so that's an interesting aspect to it, which I am curious, like, is it just simply the symbiotes need to eat, or is that just something sadistic that the symbiotes like to do anyway? I'd assume it, I mean, who knows, it could be a combination of the two. I wonder others, because it makes you wonder, like, well, at least in this case, it seems like the symbiotes already like that, which is just an interesting thing. I mean, the symbiotes do have their own consciousness anyway. I guess I never really took time to really think about it. I guess that's why it and Eddie kind of get along, because they're just psyches coming together. Like, Eddie's already good. I don't know, I mean, he seems like an okay dude, but to be fair, I don't know, maybe when we actually meet him in the movie, he won't be kind of an okay dude. Once again, I don't really have that much experience in the comic books, so I really wouldn't know that well about what Eddie's really kind of like whether or not he's actually a good person or not. We know he's kind of a reporter and he gets into, like, you know, he tries to get to the truth, but it's like, yeah, maybe he's kind of a dick about how he goes about it. Maybe he doesn't care. All he cares about is the story and reputation. So I don't know, you know, we'll kind of have to wait to the movie to see. At the very least, it does seem like he tries to put like his own hero spin to it, because it's like, okay, we go after bad guys, we don't have to go after innocent people, which I don't think I've ever seen the symbiote kind of represent itself like that, like how it comes off him like a parasite and kind of talks to him like that. I don't think that's ever happened, like because it's interesting, because I feel like I don't ever, once again, my experience has only ever been the cartoons, but I don't ever really remember Eddie and Venom talking like that. But maybe that's the aspect of the movie, because they are two separate consciousnesses. Yes, they do kind of refer to as we at certain points, but maybe when they fully unify is when we will stop seeing the whole back and forth. I guess it also helps because, well, because it seems like some of the trailer it's talking inside of his head, other times it physically shows itself. But part of me wonders is like, will it stop doing that once they completely meld and become one? Because like I said, I remember him talking to himself in some of the cartoons, but I don't ever really remember it representing itself like that. So it's such a fascinating aspect to me. Like, once again, it's that duality aspect of it too, which also caught me off guard with this trailer too. It's like, all right, this isn't just like a few people know about him being Venom. It seems like, nope, everyone's going to know about him being Venom. So there's no going back to just being regular Eddie Brock, because the police get involved and stuff like that. They've seen his face. I mean, maybe it'd be hard to track him down later, but because I think even in the cartoon, like, he's always kept like a pretty nice leash on the whole situation, not really exposing himself. Like, unless like Peter / Spider-Man needs to know, like no one else really knows. I mean, except for the people involved in his whole situation, they probably know. Because we saw in a previous trailer how he kind of got exposed anyway, because like I said, sneaking around doing the reporter thing, which is kind of interesting, because I was wondering when I was watching it too, I was like, all right, like how will they handle it? Like, because you know, there's always like, that's something I've talked about in a lot of, especially Marvel properties, there's not too much of that secret identity thing going on yet. This is kind of the Sony thing, and it's not part of the MCU potentially yet, depending on what they end up doing with it in the end. But it's like, what would that, it's just interesting to think about a villain that's fully exposed like that, like you know exactly who they are. I mean, like I said, that kind of goes both ways in both heroes and superheroes and villains in this day and age, because it's like, yeah, there's no kind of secret identity aspect. And to me, that's one of the nice aspects of Spider-Man. So I was wondering whether they would translate that over in this one. At least for now, that's not the case. I mean, I wonder, like, I mean, it all depends on how the story plays out. Maybe he can fake his death at the end and people just think he's gone, so they don't have to worry about it, so he becomes a ghost. I don't know. It does seem like there are other symbiotes. It seems like the main antagonist of the movie becomes one at the end. The fact is he's shape-shifting his hands into blades. I'm like, that has to be Carnage. He looks a little reddish, but he doesn't look as red as I thought he would be. So not unless that's a different one, because once again, like at the beginning you kind of see these, like you see a black one and you see a yellow one. Almost later on it looks like they fused together, but maybe that was just, I don't know, it looked like one of them was like yellowish black. But once again, this also probably feeds into the whole thought I had before about there being multiple symbiotes, which once again it's like it's an element I'm not that familiar with, because I only found out a little while back, but still fairly recently, about there being more. The fact of the matter is, like, I don't think I ever thought about it too much, because I didn't know about comic books. I didn't know they literally came from a planet of them, which is such a fascinating thing. They even literally have a king, if I remember correctly. Obviously in this trailer we see him using the symbiote a lot more, not just using it, but like being full on Venom. So it seems like he's probably going to be Venom a lot more in the movie than I probably would have thought. Maybe it seems like, I don't know, I mean, just because of the trailers, it seems like he probably gets it fairly on. I'd probably say like maybe like the halfway mark on he's full on Venom. I am curious, I think someone's talked about like why he doesn't have the white spider insignia on his chest, which to be fair is like, well, he hasn't met Spider-Man because Spider-Man technically doesn't exist. Like it's always been that debate about, well, whether or not there's going to be some stuff related like Spider-Man in this or not. Once again, that is all determined by whether or not this in some shape or form coexist with the MCU situation with Homecoming, you know. So like everyone wants it to come together, because once again, Venom is my favorite Spider-Man villain. So just because I just love everything he is and what he represents, and just like he is like this hulking Spider-Man. Also, I didn't know Venom had such crazy regenerative abilities, because we see like Eddie's like got a broken leg that kind of snaps back into place. I was like, oh wow, I did not know it had healing properties like that. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. It's almost interesting because I guess it just shows you how much of a like meat sack people are to these symbiotes. It's just kind of like, no, you're just the thing I puppet around to do my bidding and my will, and makes it possible for me to do what I do. It's interesting too, because if I remember correctly, the symbiotes can actually act on their own to it. I mean, obviously we see that in the trailer, but to the point like there's a cartoon, Unlimited Spider-Man. It's one of my favorite like short-lived Spider-Man cartoons. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend you check it out. I mean, obviously it's short-lived, so it ends on a huge cliffhanger, but in that, like, Venom and Carnage like don't have human host anymore. I'm pretty sure it's like, yeah, they're just the symbiotes and they exist on their own. So that, I think that's another element that has to be considered too. I don't know if they're going to tap into that. I don't know if that exists across all symbiote, like, you know, when it comes to symbiotes across all like Marvel comics and stuff like that. But that's kind of, it's something I didn't even think about till now. Maybe that's something we'll see kind of later on, you know. Maybe eventually this thing would devour Eddie, or maybe because Eddie and him work together so well, because they gel so well together, maybe it won't. For now, maybe eventually he'll decide like, oh, I don't need you anymore. You know, like I said, that's a lot of stuff we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, these are some of my thoughts about everything. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. Like, obviously, we've gotten a little bit more of a taste of what the movie's about. Are you excited with even more information coming out? Or have you been the person who's trying to avoid the trailers, which obviously me talking about it's just kind of spoiling it more for you. But obviously, what are your thoughts going into this? Are you excited? Are you middle of the road? Do you not care? Like, I've heard different opinions about how people feel about this. I still maintain, like, I'm actually kind of excited about it once again, because I like Venom so much, but I'm so interested to see what they do for a story like this. Because, I mean, obviously, like, you see the psychological toll to it, and I think that's such an interesting angle that I feel like we've never really seen too much in a lot of superhero material. There's some superhero material, like TV show wise, like Legion have kind of tackled that, but I feel like this is the first time we've seen like amongst like superhero movie. This is also the first, I'd make the argument, anti-hero movie too, like aside from Deadpool. And even then, Deadpool leans more towards the hero side of things anyway. This is like your truest form of like this monstrous villain, and the balance of trying to be a hero still also being the villain, you know? So I don't know, I think it's such an interesting angle, the first time we're really kind of seeing it utilized in its own movie. So I don't know, those are my thoughts. Like I said, just let me know how you're feeling and your thoughts about the whole situation in the comments down below. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good